All right, welcome everybody. I'm not gonna waste any time. This video is not gonna have any fluff in it. I'm sure you're probably pretty frustrated at this point with your open rates and your click rates on your emails. If your emails are looking like this, for example, open rates, at or below 30%, click rates just super low overall. If you're seeing super high bounce rates, that's a pretty good sign that your emails are landing in the spam folder of your recipient's inbox, and you most likely have a deliverability issue with your emails. Okay, so you could have the sexiest, most high converting emails in the world, but if they're going to people's spam and nobody is seeing them, that really doesn't matter all too much, right? And if nobody is seeing your emails, that basically means you're missing out on sales. And trust me, nobody checks their spam folder. Okay, so how do you actually get your emails to land in people's primary inbox, right? So I think it's first important to understand, at least on a base level, how deliverability works and how it's measured, okay? So the way it works is pretty simple, right? Every sending domain has what's called a sender reputation, right? So think of it like a credit score. So your sender reputation basically determines whether your emails land in the primary inbox, the promotions tab if you're using Gmail, or the spam folder. Okay, so if inbox providers like Gmail and Outlook and Yahoo and iCloud, for example, if they don't see you as a high quality sender, they're going to start flagging your emails and start putting them in people's spam folder where they're not going to see them, right? So basically, if inbox providers see that, not many people are opening your emails, or they see really low click rates on your emails, or they see, a lot of people unsubscribing from your emails, that basically tells them that whatever you're sending out is not of much value to people. And in their eyes, they see you as you're not sending out high quality stuff, right? So they're going to punish you for that and put you in the spam folder in order to protect their users and make sure that the people using their platform are getting the best experience, right? So the goal here is to have the best possible relationship with inbox providers, and you basically don't want to give them any reason not to trust you, okay? So how do you actually go about fixing your sender reputation, right? So right now, if you're watching this video and you're having deliverability issues, I'm willing to bet you're probably sending emails to your entire list or a majority of the profiles in your list, and that is a huge no-no, okay? That's probably part of the reason why you're experiencing deliverability issues. You should only be sending out emails to engaged profiles, right? So if, you probably have a lot of profiles on your list currently that are unengaged, meaning they don't open your emails, they don't interact with your emails at all, they're just basically like ghost profiles in your account. And sending to these profiles just basically lowers your sender score, lowers that credit score that we talked about, right? So what you need to do, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it in about 10 seconds here, is you need to create engaged segments of profiles who regularly interact with your emails, right? And only send emails to those people until your open rates slowly start improving, right? And as your open rates start improving, you're going to start opening it up and sending to more and more people, right? So I manage the email for a multitude of, different 7 as well as 8-figure e-commerce brands. And we only send emails to people who have opened at least one email in the last 120 days, sometimes even 90 days, depending on how big the list is, right? That way, we're not just sending out emails into space to their entire list who, 80% of them are just not going to open them. And then, your credit score goes down, right? So we're only sending emails to people who we know are going to open, are going to click, or maybe even buy something, right? So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm inside one of my clients' accounts here. I'm going to show you how to actually go in and create these specific segments, right? And obviously, I'm going to blur out certain information for privacy reasons, but let's get into it. So I'm on the home dashboard right now, and you're going to want to go over to the left-hand side here and select lists and segments, right? Now, if you go over to the top right of the screen, you're going to see 2 options under create new, right? There's create list and there's create segment. Okay, so really briefly, I want to kind of go over the difference between what a list is and what a segment is, right? Because I think that's super important to understand, right? So a list is static, right? It does not change at all. When someone is added to a list, they are on that list forever until they are manually removed, right? Now, a segment, on the other hand, segments are dynamic, right? They're fluid. People are added to a segment based on certain criteria that you create, which is what we're about to do, right? So if I create a segment of people who have opened an email in the last 30 days, for example, the only way someone could be added to that segment is if they've met that requirement. So if they've opened an email in the last 30 days, right? Now, on the flip side, if someone is added to that segment because they meet the criteria, but then let's say, 30 more days go by and they have not opened an email, they just stopped engaging, right? They no longer meet that criteria and they will automatically be removed from that segment, right? So The main thing to remember here, a list is static, it doesn't move, and a segment is fluid. People are constantly, going in and out depending on their actions, right? So just wanted to cover that really quick. Go ahead and click create segment. And now for the name here, I like to name it, just whatever the actual segment is. So in this case, it's going to be 30-day openers, because that's the first segment we're going to be creating here. If your deliverability is just like god awful, I'm talking open rates of like 10, 15%, you're going to want to follow all of the steps I'm about to show you. Just start with 14-day openers here instead of 30. Pretty straightforward. I'll show you how to do that. I like to start with 30. In most cases, that should be enough to get a good segment going with some pretty, a significant amount of engaged profiles. But feel free to play around with it depending on like where you're at. So next step, you're going to want to click here, come down and select a condition. And the first one we're going to select is if someone can or cannot receive marketing. So person can receive email marketing. That of course just makes sure that, we're not sending emails to people who didn't give you consent, because that would violate GDPR guidelines and we don't want to do that, right? So next we're going to add a condition, click and, because, they need to meet both of these conditions. If we selected or, they would have to meet one or the other, obviously. So select and then this time we're going to click what someone has done right here, right? And then over here, instead of ordered product, whatever the default is, you're going to want to just search opened. So opened email. So now we have opened email at least once in the last, and then make sure this right here is 30 days. If you're doing 14 days, you're going to want to put 14 in there. But like I said, I like to start with 30, right? So now we have a segment of people who have given consent to be emailed, judging by this condition here, right? And they also have opened at least one email in the last 30 days, right? And you can see this account has 31,063 profiles in it. Depending on the size of your account and how many total profiles you have, that number might look a little different for you. For some of you, that number might be really, really small, and that's totally okay. Okay, don't let that scare you. We're gonna slowly open this up and start sending to more people. Right now, we just kind of, like I mentioned, need to show the inbox providers that we can get very high open rates and get good engagement so that they start trusting us, right? So you're gonna click create segment to make it live. And remember, from now on, only send campaigns to this segment, right? So monitor open rates on this segment. The number you're looking for in terms of open rates is at least over 50%. And then eventually you're going to slowly, wean off of this segment and then make a new one with more profiles. And you're going to slowly work your way up depending on how the data looks, right? So for example, if you've sent maybe, 3 or 4 times to this segment right here, and 30-day openers, and you've gotten over 50% open rates every single time, you're going to create a new segment, but this time make it 60-day openers or make it 45-day openers, right? And then repeat that process until you're at the point where you're sending emails to 90 or 120-day openers and consistently hitting, above 50% open rates, right? I wouldn't go past 120-day openers, but feel free to play around with that. Every list is different. The main thing to remember here is that you should basically never be sending emails to your entire list outside of like Black Friday and really huge sales you're running. But if you're segmenting properly and you're sending out 2 to 3 campaigns per week like you should be, you can fix your deliverability within 3 weeks to a month. I've seen it time and time again. I've done it multiple times. Also, another thing that I want to highlight here that will help your email deliverability is the actual email design itself. So I'm going to make an entirely separate video on how to make high converting email designs, but I'll just briefly touch on it. Basically, to sum it up, you need to also make sure that the actual content that you're sending out is high quality, right? So you don't need to be an expert graphic designer and make anything crazy, but what I'm saying is don't send emails that are super, super text heavy with missing buttons or buttons like all the way down at the bottom of the email. You want to make sure that not only are people opening your emails, but they're also actually digesting your content and clicking on your emails as well, which, as we just learned, plays a huge role in deliverability as well, right? So yeah, guys, I hope you got some value out of this. Feel free to subscribe to see more of my videos. I'm going to be posting a whole lot more on here going forward. Also, if you're interested in me doing a completely free audit on your Klaviyo account, feel free to shoot me an email or just check out the link in my description. And if you're trying to learn more about email marketing, I actually have a free weekly newsletter where I basically send out different email tips and tricks that I use with my 8-figure clients on a daily basis. You can join for free at inboxinsider.net/subscribe. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you got some value. See you guys in the next one.